Hey guys, so I've recently made a bunch of videos, and it kind of started, this series of videos kind of started with somebody basically saying, I'm 40, I'm single, I want a baby, I don't know what to do, time's running out, yada yada. I made some videos about that, about my own personal experience going through that. And I also made a video talking about going through like a personal example in my life and how I get to the point where I figure out the resistance. And in this community, there are a lot of people who seem to think resistance is like not a thing when it obviously is. I'm going to drive this point home again. Resistance is just the percentage of resistance you have is the percentage of you that actually doesn't want the thing to happen. It's really, really simple. If you think about anything you want, very rarely is there something that if you actually stop and think about it, and you don't just go, do I want this? Yes. If you actually stop and think about it and sit and allow yourself to feel in your body, down here, not up here. If you sit and actually feel the sensations in your body when you think up here about having that thing, that's where you can tell if there's resistance or not. You will feel it. And then if you sit with the feeling of it, hopefully, I don't know, I can do this. Hopefully you can. Hopefully everyone can. This is probably a skill that needs to be practiced consistently over time to get really good at it. I don't remember if I started doing this because someone told me to or if it was just natural, but at this point, it's just second nature to do this. If you sit with those feelings and just feel them or just allow them to kind of be there, they will articulate. You'll be able to know what they are, I think, eventually. I hope that's what it does for me. I don't know if everybody can do this. I hope they can. If you can't, I'm very sorry for assuming that you can. I think you can, though. And so what that'll do is you'll just have this feeling and you'll go, okay, that feeling feels like anxiety. It feels like fear. That's usually what it is. That's usually what resistance is. In some form or another, it's fear of the unknown or fear of something, fear of not being able to handle it, fear of unintended consequences, or it's an anxiety because you know that it's not something that you actually want in your life. This is a big one that I just don't think people, it's like if you don't listen to yourself and your own gut feelings, which who knows what that is. People have kind of made that into a woo thing now too, like it's some magic thing, intuition is like a magic sense or something. I really doubt that this is anything more than just a human ability that isn't understood, that is probably based on things that we're able to glean from our environment, but not necessarily put into any kind of sense in our minds. That's my guess as to what this is, just based on my experience with it. If you don't listen to your gut, you're going to do all kinds of things that you shouldn't do. If you kind of start with the base premise that when you take all the garbage off of you and your personality, everything that's been added on, that you're kind of just like this thing that creates stuff and that knows things and that knows what to do. If you get more in touch with that core and you start thinking of yourself that way, then you can use this feeling, this guidance that you have, this innate guide, essentially, that is your gut feeling, to know what to do with yourself. This is kind of important. I don't know where I'd be without this, honestly. This will basically tell you everything you need to know about where you are in relation to everything that appears to be out there. So that's what resistance essentially is. It's just it's the part of the overall intention that is, I don't want this. So if you have your intention that's like, I want to get this area of my life to be a certain way, part of you is going to be on board with it and part of you isn't. And when it's like 80-20 in favor, the thing will happen. And there might be some bumps along the way due to that 20% that still doesn't want it. This is just like a math equation, really. There's so little about this that's like magic when you break it down, really. At least for me. So when you're looking at something in your life and it's just not happening over and over and over again, you're getting the wrong thing. I believe that the reason that people are not, say, getting the relationship they want is that they're looking for that relationship to do something that deep down they really want to do for themselves, even if there is no awareness of that. That's what I think that stems from. Because otherwise you would just create the fucked up relationship and be in it and not aspire to something more. There are people everywhere that are doing that. Look around you. I mean, I personally know of 2 or 3 examples of people that are just like in these toxic situations and they don't seem to have a problem with it. They're not looking for more. They're not getting into it, having this shit dynamic play out that is perfect for them, and then saying, God, there's got to be more than this. I got to evolve beyond this. There are tons and tons of people that just are not anywhere near that. You're not one of them, obviously. Or you would have just created that shitty thing and you'd just be in it. You know, just like there are people that create all kinds of crazy finances and stuff like that, that are miserable fucks and it's not, you know, and they never get beyond it. So that just doesn't appear to be the case for you or most of the people that seem interested in my channel. I think there is a real underlying impulse for evolution and forward motion and getting the actual thing you want versus like the thing that maybe you think you want. On the surface, but actually don't, as is evidenced by your outer reality not having it there. It's really simple. So that's like the first part of this that I wanted to say, and the second part that I wanted to say, and this I think can be useful and maybe helpful and hopeful, is that you know, the ultimate thing that you want and the ultimate resolution of your problem and you manifesting the perfect version of whatever the thing is that you want, that's, you know, that's all fine and good, but you have things that you can get now that you don't have. You have things that you have no resistance to having now that you have not manifested in all of the areas of life. Any area, I guess I should say, nothing's off limits here as far as I'm concerned. You, just because you may not necessarily have worked this problem out doesn't mean that you can't get a part of it that will be fulfilling and make you happy. So really the only way to know what that would be for you is to do what I did, do what I said to do in the video, the first video that I made about this, which I will link below, which is take your desire and separate it out into its parts and do the best you can. For me, I think this is pretty, thanks to this gut feeling, like I kind of know when I've gotten it all out there. I kind of know when I've figured it all out, like, okay, I want this thing. This part is made up of this ego-driven thing, which is fine. This part is sincerely wanting this great altruistic thing. This thing is wanting, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like I can just like look at something that I want and separate it out into all the things that it's made up of. So if you're in a place where you're stuck and you don't feel like you're where you would need to be to manifest the thing, the full, you know, amazeballs fruition of this thing, then separate this thing out into its parts and you can manifest something to alleviate or fulfill some part of that instead of trying to get something that will just like do all of it. Eventually, you're probably going to learn to do all of it for yourself, and then you will just have the manifestation of the thing that you originally wanted, and you'll enjoy it for the 10% that it was ever going to give you in the first place. And that's a glorious place to be. It really is. So, for example, okay, so like with the separating out of the desire and manifesting something, let's say that you look at your desire to have the perfect relationship, and you realize, okay, I do genuinely want a partner because I like to be monogamous and I want a physical relationship, let's say. And I like being physically affectionate with somebody. So, need a partner for that, pretty much. Maybe not. Maybe you could get a dog. That's what I'm saying. Like, look at these parts, you know, I want physical affection. Seriously, maybe you could get a dog and that would literally solve the entire thing. And it would take the weight off of that part. I'm not suggesting you get a dog instead of manifesting a partner. I want to be fucking clear about that. I'm just saying for example, so I need these two things. This is a genuine desire that I want from a partner. And I want somebody, you know, who I can lean on if times get rough. I can tell you right now, you do not have to have a romantic partner to have somebody who will completely and totally fulfill, I have someone to lean on if times get rough, in the exact same way you may have experienced from a partner in the past. And then you look at the other things. Well, I feel lonely. Okay, you don't need a partner to fix that. You can, if you don't want to try to necessarily completely fix whatever part of you would alleviate that, you can manifest other people. You know, what else would be? I don't feel like I'm where I need to be in life. You know, you could work on that part. But specifically, what I wanted to say, and the personal example that I wanted to bring up here was, you know, what I did when I was 28, which was, I was just, you know, from the time I was like, I don't know, 20 or 21, I just got on this thing of I have to find like the right person. I was engaged at that time when I was 20 and just realized I'm way too young for this. It was a great guy, but I'm like, I'm way too young for this. I don't have enough experience. I don't really know if getting married and starting to have kids right now is what I want. Thank God. Thank you, 20-year-old self, for having that wisdom. And I just got up the guts to end that engagement. But then almost immediately, instead of like going with the things that I rightly knew I needed to do, which was like get some experience, figure out who I am, all that stuff, I just immediately was like, oh my God, I can't be alone. I've got to find somebody else. And then it just became this like thing, this big obsession. And the experiences that I had just made it worse and worse. So by the time I was 28, I was really, I was pretty beaten down from this whole string of people from the previous like 7 or 8 years. And I had also, my central theme in life, which was like, I'm not good enough. And thanks to being raised in the 90s and all of that, I was like, oh, I'm too fat. That got even worse. By the time I was like 28, I weighed like 175, which I'm 5'3", so that was way too heavy for me. And it made me feel even less attractive and just exacerbated all of whatever I was feeling about that particular thing. And so I just found myself at 28 saying, I am completely alone. That's the only time in my life I have ever felt totally alone, was like the summer that I was 28. I was alone in my apartment that I had just gotten that was kind of expensive. I was still trying to make it as an entrepreneur, and I didn't, you know, thanks to my mental state I was really struggling with, you know, sort of the energy that needs to be present for that. The drive, I was just like kind of depressed, and so my finances were fucked, and I was like, I'm too fat, and just felt like shit. And it was the one time in my life that I didn't feel like I really had anybody I could talk to. Like I had always had somebody. And so I went out to dinner with my friend who was somebody who I could talk to, but not like somebody felt like I could really lean on like every day if I was in a bad place. It was somebody who I knew I could talk to for an evening. Like I could go run all my problems by him, get all of his awesome, wonderful, supportive, amazing insight, and I could enjoy that bond that we have. But it was just like a once or twice a year type of thing. That was just our relationship. And so I went and I did that, and I left feeling so like happy and fulfilled and connected and all that stuff. And I was like, this is what I want to feel every day. And I was so clear on that. I was like, I don't care if it's a romantic relationship. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it comes in the form of this thing I think I want. I just know that right now I want that. That's what's missing from my life right now, is just this feeling of being okay, like everything's okay. And so because I was still 12 years out from getting to the point where I was going to be able to do this for myself, I just said, okay, I just want a person that I feel like this with. I don't care. And a man, not a woman. I didn't want this to be like a female friendship. You know, I just want somebody like that in my life. I want to meet a guy where it feels like this, that wants to be in my life every day. Doesn't have to be a romantic thing. Just wants to be in my life every day. So no resistance to that. I'm like, there's no pressure. Like, I don't have to be romantic with this person. I can just be fat and failing in my life, and I don't have to feel like that's any of this person's business. You know, just what I have to offer in the way of being a friend needs to be good enough for this. And within days, I had manifested my now ex, because of course, thanks to my obsession with being in a romantic relationship, there was just no fucking way that wasn't going to go there eventually. So within 3 days of being that clear, that specific, and having no resistance, it appeared. It was that fast. And that was really eye-opening for me, because long before all this manifestation garbage showed up on YouTube, I was reading this stuff and thankfully having no influence into what it meant. So I was interpreting this all for myself. And so that was really eye-opening to me. That was when I realized how much clarity and zero resistance produces a result. That also, you know, was apparent in the building of my business. And really the key for me with building my business was having that person as a partner. To this day, I don't know if I didn't have a partner to work with, I don't think it would be as successful, despite all of the manifestation and everything. It's like it got manifested in its perfect form for what I needed it to be. It's never seemed important to me that, like, I must be able to do this whole thing by myself. For whatever reason, that just doesn't matter when I think about that. I'm like, who cares? So that's not a big thing for me that I feel like I have to work out. Like, I needed to be able to do this whole thing myself. Like, no, I needed somebody else to take on half of the responsibilities of this thing that eventually developed, manifested. But so he just showed up almost immediately. The clarity was thanks to having just experienced what I realized I wanted, you know, and realizing I feel so good right now. I feel so good right now. So I want the thing that just caused me to feel this good. That's what I want. Not this idea of what I think would make me happy. Like, I actually am happy right now. So if you can look at what you're missing from your life and get to that point about some aspect of it, you can manifest what you're ready for right now, and it'll be a stepping stone. Everything that happens is used to get you to that end state. It's just, at the end of the story, when you look back and see how it was all written, it's so obvious how these things just come together perfectly to create this end manifestation when you finally get it, when it's finally fully there. It's everything that went into it was perfect and necessary. So the idea that you have to get the very end without getting what might turn out to be some very important, components in the middle, that's new age YouTube manifesting bullshit woo. You can absolutely pick these things apart and figure out which part of it is causing you the most stress now, and start to just address that part, and when it's something like what's causing me the most distress is that I should be somewhere I'm not. That's just a mental shift away from being gone. Really, you don't even have to make anything happen for that. You just have to intend for the mental shift. You just have to understand that can't be true. It can't be important, and that you're just not seeing that it's not important. That's where all the pain's coming from. If you can get rid of little things like that, your entire perception of the thing you want will shift. As you perceive, so shall you behave, and that will bring about a different outer reality. I hope any of this made sense. The only real good example of this, and really obvious one is the one where I manifested my ex, who is still like my best friend. That's what I wanted. I wanted somebody to be able to rely on, who was close to me. It didn't have to be my husband. I mean, obviously I'm close to and rely on my fiance and everything, but I wanted a relationship that was not dependent on some kind of form. I wanted a real relationship. I wanted a real connection that was not dependent on, well, this relationship is my romantic relationship, and if we got divorced, then it would be gone. We're going to make a commitment or not. It's like, dude, when you're committed to someone, you're committed. You know what I mean? Getting like a marriage license or saying some words doesn't make you committed. Real connection and real bonds are what they are. They can't be broken or created by, getting married or something like that. And that's what I wanted. I want a real thing. Somebody who it feels like is a long lost member of my family. I want that closeness with somebody. And it was there immediately because I was ready for that. So I don't know if you're ready for that, or whatever your area of having an issue is. I don't know what the parallel is for you. It's just something to think about. All of this is just pain relief, really, at the end of the day, right? I mean, the only reason people are seeking and not finding and all that stuff is because they're trying to relieve pain and going about it the wrong way a lot of the time, or going about it a way that isn't going to produce the pain relief. So I don't know if you can think about something in this way and try to figure out what it is that you can get now that you have no resistance to, that you are totally ready for, and just refine it down, then I think you'll find that you're very successful with that.